Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Yeah, let's see who we got here this afternoon, this evening. Crazy Witch, what's going on there? How you doing? Welcome to the show there. Let's see here. Denise, hello. Welcome, Denise. Russ, how are you doing today?
Okay, thank you, Chris. Yourself?
Oh, doing good. Sandra, welcome there. Kelly, Elliott, welcome. And Brown, FDL Paranormal, coming up in the rear. And hello, Diane and Kelly Elliott. Liana King, welcome. So, do we have a show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen? I have Russ. Russ, introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Hi, Chris.
So, yeah, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and everything.
Hi, yeah, my name's Russ Kellett. I am a UFO investigator, a paranormal investigator, also an abductee and a super soldier, or
Yeah.
was.
Now, what is a super soldier?
Well, it's I was taken by a race of aliens and put into a military unit, and obviously given training. Had a special what you call a life force suit, and basically what they've done is that they change his body through all sorts of things, mostly operations and injections. And what it does basically, it enhances your capability as a soldier. Sort of like make you stronger and faster, etc. Hence the word super soldier. And the suit, I think, contains a lot of this inside, and it helps because the suit itself is like bulletproof, and it helps all what they've done enhancing his bodies. So that's the way I would put the name across as a super soldier.
Well, that's interesting. That really is. I've always been fascinated with UFOs. Now, what actually got you into this field and topic?
Well, my dad came home from work early hours. He'd been working on a late night shift, and he was with some workmates and his brothers. I think he worked with three of his brothers, and there were about 6 or 7 people outside on a tea break. And as I was talking, there were a bit of shouting going on, and look, look, look. And my dad turned around and he said, "What's up?" And they said, "Oh, you've missed it, Jim. Look." And as he looked up, they said that this, as they put it, some called it a UFO, some called it a cigar shaped object. Sort of like it went in these clouds. So he was telling me mum, sat around having his, well, like breakfast or his tea, when he'd got in from work. And it was a bit miffed that him and his friend who were talking were the only two of the group that didn't actually see this sighting, this UFO, you know. So in a way, I remembered that I was only young, about 4 years old, and that stuck in my mind. But the actual reason why I became a UFO investigator, I set a group up in 1990, I think it was 97, and I set my first group up in a place called Bradford in West Yorkshire in the UK. And really, I was searching for answers because I'd had close encounters very strange things that had happened, missing time, and going down this this tunnel into this room, and then being taken by these tall, very tall, bald aliens, 15-foot tall. They looked very much like the French Dracula, Nosferatu.
Oh, wow.
So I were looking for answers. You know, a friend of mine said you need to start looking in abductions and UFO books about these things that you're talking about, Russ. You know, like meeting these things and being taken. So, for selfish reasons, I suppose, in a way, I started a UFO group. You know, like trying to find answers for my own abductions, if you see what I mean. So
Right.
that's a real reason, you know, why I got into the UFO subject. So that'd be about 1997. And, you know, I've sort of like been searching for answers ever since.
That is interesting. Now, I've seen you in BBC, I've seen you in news articles, and I've done a lot of research on you. And he actually had me, ladies and gentlemen, on his show. And what was very interesting is I enjoyed it. And very interesting man. And he's got a lot of back history on UFO and UFOlogy and so forth. And he did not know, but I was looking for somebody that dabbles in his realm. And so I reached out to him like, hey, what do you think about doing a show together? And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, and thus we are born together across the world. And I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited. Now, since I've seen a lot of things, hello, Filipino. Bonjour Grizzly is quite the ladies' man. He is, oh, you do. But I also see, now, do you actually have images and recordings? Because I'm always seeing you out there with cameras and video recorders. I mean, do you capture these flying objects?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I was one of the first to start putting UFO photographs and images up on YouTube. And I stopped doing it for a while because what I got was one or two people contacting me and asking me to send me footage across to them. And what I didn't realize was that they were selling me footage.
Oh,
Right, yeah,
yes.
without me knowing. You know, they were like going round and to news groups and saying, I've got some footage for you. When I found out about this, I stopped doing that then. You know, sort of like, so I just put in fact, I'd stopped for a long time. I stopped putting anything on YouTube, you know, and just concentrated on going out and filming. But I've got things. If you have a look on, Flying Saucer Television on YouTube, you'll see I put a heck of a lot of video footage up there. For instance, there's me getting zapped as I was filming a UFO, and I had a friend with me outside of me, and I is only very small, disabled, and I handed him the camera to have a look, and as I'm showing him the object that I'm filming, I felt this power coming sort of like down and up my body sort of thing. And so I pulled the camera back and I just said, let's just have a look. And as I'm filming, getting back into the getting the subject matter, the UFO back into view, there was a flash. And I said to Keith, I said, that's strange. I don't know what that was. I'll rewind it when we go in. So about 20 minutes later, we went in the house and rewound the actual tape. And what happens is, as I'm moving the camera and keeping it in view in the frame, what you see is like a quick flash of a second. When you slow that second down, you can see the light coming down, and it's like 6 balls of light shooting down at the camera. So that's just one, sort of like video of something that I've caught, but it's actually coming down, sort of like at me. It's like I'm being zapped by whatever it is I'm being filming. Then I went out to see a friend who'd been reporting strange objects in this area, but also a number of other people had been ringing my hotline. I used to have a hotline then, and telling me that there were things seen in this area of Bradford called Queensbury. And as I'm talking and looking in the back of my car, I had the boot open and getting some equipment out and talking to my other friend, Chris. And I'm telling him about this new, it was like satellite nav what I had, and pointing up saying it says that there's 6 satellites above us. And when I looked up talking to him about this, which I never got working properly anyway, it cost a lot of money and it was wasted on me, anyway. I was seeing this object and I chucked it, the satellite, in the car and went and got my video camera out and started filming this object.
Uh-oh. Russ, you didn't get zapped, did you, buddy? We just started the show. Oh, here he comes back, ladies and gentlemen. You scared me there for a minute, Russ. I thought you got zapped.
Not again.
I know, right?
Yeah. So when I got the camera out and I started filming. Say again, sorry.
No, you're fine. I just want to make sure you didn't get zapped.
No, not this time. So I started filming the object, and you can see the object come down, and it's as if like it's falling out of the sky. And it looks, some people call it a flying man, some people call it an ejector seat. But anyway, I went back the next
one
day.
Of those? You got that on video?
Looking in the area. Yeah, I videoed it.
Oh my gosh.
Say again, sorry, Chris.
I can't believe you captured one of those on video.
Yeah, I filmed. That's that's on Flying Saucer Television also. It's called The Flying Man. If you look on Flying Saucer Television. Anyway, the next day I went to this area where the craft came down, and
somebody does not want him to tell his stories, ladies and gentlemen. So do y'all know what he's talking about? The ejector seat, the flying man that everybody's reporting to see across the world, that looks like, some people call it a witch on a broom. I mean, this is incredible. So this is very interesting. So here he's back again. All right, there you go, Con Sir. There you go.
In this area, and this is the area where the object came down, right?
Right.
But the next thing, when I was taking the pictures, there's a flying triangle. There's an actual flying triangle I caught in the sky, which is just below.
Yeah, somebody does not want him to share his. So he is very well known in the UK, ladies and gentlemen. He's been on BBC, other shows. So this is very interesting. And he has got my attention. So here he comes back again. Let's try this again. All right, you're back.
That is unusual. I've never done a show and been off as much. Very strange.
It is strange. It is strange. So Kelly says, to America a few years ago on a holiday, I went to go and see the back gate of Area 51. There was a dirt road that took you there, but I could only get near where the security thing was. Unfortunately, I couldn't get near the base because there was lots of security and cameras, but I thought it was pretty awesome. Yeah, but I just can't believe, because a lot of people, I know what you're talking about, the flying chair. I have seen videos of that, and that is rare to capture that. So that's amazing. So that's
The thing
wild.
is, when I filmed it, it was like a flying triangle. It was like in fact, it describing it as a two-tone white and silver, like triangular shaped object. But it was just it was beyond all belief looking at it, and then for it to land, sort of like in this area, sort of like, and the next day have a black flying triangle in the distance, which would seem that something was actually looking for a landed flying craft. One of their crafts seemed to be looking, sort of like for this. Unbelievable.
Wow. Now, how many times do you think you've been abducted?
But I've seen so many and videoed so many UFOs flying.
Yeah, I don't think he hears me. I did his show just perfectly fine. Never got kicked off. So, yes, interesting. All
I
right,
can hear.
welcome back.
I don't know what's going on here. This is unbelievable.
I don't either. This is strange. So, how many times have you been abducted? Can you hear me? Or you froze again? Russ?
Oh, wow. It's been a lifelong experience, It all started, when I was 16 years old, when I was on my motorbike, and I'd been out riding. After tea, I went out every night to see friends and just to
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I expect this on paranormal shows, but not UFO shows. So that's interesting. I don't have any storms. So here he is again. All right, welcome back.
This is unbelievable. Yes, I was 16 when it first took place, being abducted, riding on my motorbike, and I'd been out after tea, and I looked and I thought to myself, I better get home. You know, it's work the next day. It's getting late, and you know, that's when I came to this very strange object, like a tunnel in the middle of the road. And I tried to slow down, but I went straight through and ended up inside a room, which was really dark, and there was movement. I could see these faces, and I was looking right up. So these creatures, pretty tall, 15-foot tall, and they were like the French Dracula, Nosferatu, bald, and the faces were like you could really say like monsters. And I was in this chair, and I was injected in.
Did he say injected or objected, like kicked out? Because he kept kicking out of my show. So there we go. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, I don't know what to say about this. I don't know whether
I don't
it's
think
bad
somebody
weather.
wants you to tell your story. Do you have bad weather over there? He froze. I got good weather here.
About an hour ago, but yeah, so
They want to know when you get abducted, do they hurt you?
Well, you know, we had I had injections and things done to my body, and let's just say, it's not a good thing, you know. Sort of like I've heard other people talking about abductions as if it's some kind of, you know, like nice thing, you know. And all as I can say is, well, not with me. To be quite honest, going through there is a lot of pain, anguish. To be put into a military unit, you know, I mean, I'm not a fighter by any way, shape, or form. So to be put into a military unit and made to.
Yeah, Stingray. It's like every 5 seconds. You're right. I was trying to time that one. Well, imagine the injections did hurt Missy, because he says it didn't. The way he was talking, it didn't feel comfortable. Here he is. Let's bring him back. All right.
Hi. Yeah. No, it's not pleasant. It's not a good thing. You know, that's from my opinion. You know, from my abduction. I can't really say about other people's because everybody's different. The other people that I've come across, some people think it's an amazing, you know, sort of like happening, what's happened to them. And I would say, yeah, it was amazing what happened to me, but you know, it's something that I wouldn't say was pleasant. I
5 seconds.
And you know, it got me chasing and looking for 30 years. You know, lost a lot of friends. You know, people hearing me talking about this on television, on radio, on the internet, and people just wanting to keep away from me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I've never made any money out of this subject. I've always done free talks and conferences where I could. When I've done,
Yeah, there is a stigmata with this, ladies and gentlemen, especially when he says he's been doing it for 30 years. Yeah, anytime that you come out and talk about stuff like this, your friends and family does want to distance themselves from you. And that is sad, but it actually happens. They think you're cuckoo and crazy, and they don't want nothing to do with you. So yeah, Stingray, my wife, was an alien. Janet from another planet. There you go, Stingray. Awesome. All right, let's bring them back here. All right, there. Let's try that again.
not having much luck tonight, are we?
No, it's strange. It really is very strange there, Russ. So yeah. So Grizzly people in the other chat claiming to be unfairly banned. Well, if they would act professionally and not use profanity and being disrespectful, then they wouldn't be banned. I only ban one person in any of my shows, and it takes you quite a bit to get banned. So that's the reason why. But no, and talking about taboo, it's not as a taboo subject as it was, but we were talking about how you were,
It's
how
not
you
all.
lost friends.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's a taboo subject whatsoever, Chris. You know, I don't think it's a. In fact, there's more people talking about the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, and abductions, and coming to terms with the truth that there is something definitely not out there, but here. Because these things, no matter what anybody says, these things are coming here, and they're taking people. People are videoing these things. I've come across stories where people have videoed and taken photographs, and the information's been taken off of them. The powers that be have sent men, you can call them men in black if you want,
right.
and taken confiscated video footage and photographic evidence. And then this is when I've been investigating, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when I'm talking to the people and I've spoken to them for a number of weeks, all of a sudden, right, the telephone, they don't answer the telephone. They tell me not to ring anymore, don't contact them anymore, otherwise they'll call the police. What's going on? What's going on when these people contact US for help and you're trying to help them? What is going on when they can turn around then say, don't call us anymore, sort of like, we don't want to know anymore. I can, but that just goes to show you there's things going on, behind the scenes,
Yes.
and it
Right.
must be very,
Right.
very scary for some people. It must be very scary, for people that have just come across this. And the people that I've spoken to that have had loved ones see UFOs and then they've become poorly, sick, and then sort of like that's another thing. There's a lot of things that I've come across, And I never see this in the papers. I never see it in the news about, people being told we can't talk anymore. We can't talk about what happened, and people that had seen things that have died, and people that have had video footage and photographic evidence being confiscated. What is going
Yeah.
on that why does that happen? And there's only one reason, and it's not a good reason.
No, it's not. It's not. And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be
So,
right back
it's a
after
thing to.
this. And we're going to discuss something else along with Russ. Stay by. So I totally agree with you, Russ. Now, what do you do with people like that have encounters? Do you actually help them out?
Just said, have you frozen?
No, I'm not frozen. I'm here. You hear me? Nope, I'm here. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, yeah, I'm still.
So I wonder if he actually helps people. That's my question. Because, there are a lot of people that probably have a lot of issues, seeing stuff like that and being abducted. Back in 1947, we have, Eisenhower allegedly meeting the aliens in the hangar. He had an emergency dentist appointment in the wee hours of the night to sign the treaty with the aliens in America. So I don't know. The treaty is signed that they're allowed to have alien abductions and animal mutilations and other things. His granddaughter allegedly came out in the open a couple years ago and made the public announcement that it actually did happen. The security personnel that guard the hangar where the treaty took place came forward on their deathbeds and said it actually did happen, allegedly. So who knows? But there needs to be an outlet. In America, we have MUFON that actually has been researched and investigating, allegations of unidentified flying objects and so forth. So that's my question is to Russ. Is he one of those people in the UK that helps people because he does extensive research? For what I found out. It's really terrible to see people to take his footage and monetize off of it. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that actually happens a lot. Not only in the ufology field, but also the cryptid field as well. Now, my question to you, Russ, do you help people that actually witness and encounter UFOs and abductions? Can you hear me?
Well, In what way? How can you help somebody?
Do they reach out to you and you talk to
Yeah,
them and
yeah.
work with them? And
And when you say help them, yeah, as much as you can do. I mean, what can you actually do? I mean, if somebody comes to me, we can take a report of what's happened to them, and basically, what'll happen then is
well, this is terrible. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Now, so I don't know if it's the weather on his end, but like I said, last night or the other night we had, or the other day we had no issues with our show together. Uh, Here he is once again. We'll bring him back on here. Play some Hollywood Squares. There you go. You're live again, sir.
yeah. What we can do is take a witness report and sort of like look at what's happened to them and keep in contact with them. You know, and assure them, reassure them. Sort of like it's happened to me for so many years and what have you. Don't worry about it. Sort of like try not to sort of like dwell on things. you know um but sometimes what you've got to realize is that when you've been taken and you've actually been abducted and this sort of things happen to you, it does change you, and it's a traumatic thing to happen.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, we hear a lot of stories about people seeing Bigfoot and other cryptids, the traumatic experiences. I could not imagine being taken aboard a spaceship and being abducted, being probed and everything else. That has got to be something very traumatic. Uh, I wonder what are the actual real statistics in people like that. The what they go through, the trauma, the depression, and what they deal with mentally. I mean, we only see what we hear from people's encounters. Okay, you're back. Welcome back again.
Like Chris.
Hello there. It's all you. You're live.
Yeah, so once you've taken a witness report, a statement from people, sort of like you can keep in contact with them, they can keep in contact with you, come to your meetings. But what people have got to realize is that when this happens, it changes your mindset, and you're not the same person. And it's hard to explain, really. But some people never get over. Some people never get over the fact that they've been abducted. And there's not a lot you can do for a person. There's really not a lot you can do apart from say, well, look, I'm still here, and I'm not doing too bad, and just try to get on with your life. What else can you do? Apart from, try to reassure people, sort of like there is no answers, because it's like no matter what you say, the answer to the question is something that is just out of this world. The answer, we have been taken, we have been put into whatever, military units and stuff, and we've been made to fight for these creatures, these aliens in this war. Some people are not taken in the same way. Some people don't seem to have the same thing as what's happened to me happened to them. Some people just seem to have been abducted.
And we're just getting to the meatballs and the nuts and bolts. That's got to be a terrifying experience. I don't know. I don't know if I could live through something of an encounter like that. Seeing cryptids is one thing, but dealing with something like that over and over. I mean, him being on a quest for over 30 years after his encounters, uh, in reading some of his reports and seeing him being on the news, uh, I don't know. I mean, how would you all, take and handle some of those encounters or situations yourself? I mean, some of the ones that I interviewed can't sleep at night, have problems even with flashing lights or lights in the sky, are afraid to even go outside at night. They even said no matter how they barricade their house or the door, they still enter the house, still to this day. It's very interesting how they just do things. So I don't know. And that's what I like to get Russ's intake on. Welcome back, Russ. Have you tried rebooting? You're live. So, and that's the thing. Sleep paralysis, how they can paralyze you in bed and levitate your body and so forth, and waking it up, and you're not supposed to be awake while they're doing their procedures on you. Sandra only saw them once and 10 years ago and still not over it. See what I'm talking about? All right, sir. Welcome back. Play some Hollywood Squares here. Must be some crazy weather over there. But that's the thing. It's that, Sandra, you're right. Or Sandro. Sorry. I didn't see the O. But Sandro, you're right. A lot of people uh, do not get over and is unable to. I don't know if I would be ever able to get over something like that. There's a lot of things in my life, being just on I guess, the police department, that I'm not able to get over seeing, whether it was from the state I worked in or the other state. I still have flashbacks and in memories and so forth of it. So it is kind of hard. Uh, it really makes you wonder. I'm actually interviewed people to where the women have their eggs harvested from them, and within a year later, they are reabducted and reunited with alleged children that have been hybrid, and they are mixed and crossed breeded, and the aliens would show them what they had made from them briefly, and they would never see them again. And we're talking stuff that happened 15, 20, 30 years ago. And they will tell you to this day that they know that they have children out there, and they would go under hypnosis or be hypnotized and actually be able to recount their full story and everything that would happen. So Is it real and part of people's reality? Yes, I do. Are you there, Russ? Do you want to try just your sound and not your video? You think maybe that will help? Can you hear me? You want to try your sound and not your video? Maybe that would help you. You're live. Russ. Yeah, it sounds like he can't hear me now.
Hi, yeah, I can hear you, Chris.
Do you want to try your video or your sound and not your video? Or did you try to reboot or anything like that would probably help? But and that's the thing. So and we're hearing these encounters, uh, not just from one person, but many people across the United States and other countries, ladies and gentlemen. And what's weird is that, and strange, is that we're not only hearing this from women, but also men, that their sperm is being taken from them. Now, they're not being reunited with their children, so like the women are and their offspring, but so that is very interesting. Now, we do not hear that a lot when it comes to men encounters. I don't know if it's just because the men are not coming forward and talking about it. I don't know if it's the men thing. I don't know if you rebooting or maybe sound would help and not only video, Russ, or rebooting or anything like that. So because it sounds like there's a big lag on your end somehow. I don't know if it's the weather or because I'm showing the connections and everything on my end's perfect. But and it makes you wonder, if they're doing this to women, of course they're doing it to men, but the prominent evidence, the totality of everything, it shows women are more. I don't want to say that term because that term sounds like it. Well, it's not. I don't think it's a proper term. But there's more evidence that leads towards women being abducted for harvesting than it does men. I don't know if it's just because women are actually coming forward more than men or so forth with their encounters. That I don't know. And that's a good question for Russ to answer. So, Russ, I didn't know if video over audio would help, or did you try to reboot? Or
Yeah, I just rebooted, yeah, again.
okay, good. Okay, maybe see if that would help. But hey, Russell Easterbrooks, welcome to the show. So, but yeah, so what do you think about these abductions? I mean, what is the purpose of them?
Well, it would seem that there's more than one type of abduction. The one that happened to me, obviously, to be taken against your will, abducted, yeah, to be put into a military unit and to be used as a soldier, that is something just unbelievable. But then you've got other people that have been abducted and they seem to have been on some kind of spacecraft. They seem to be in spacecraft that are very dirty, smelly. Some people have even said that they would say that there was on something what you would call a flying slaughterhouse, right? Yeah,
Really?
with bodies, dead bodies, and what have you, right? Yeah. Then you've got your women that seem to have undergone some kind of operation, whether it, woman's operation, sort of like some kind of medical examination to do with sexual organs and what have you. Sort of like some people say that they've been used for hybrids. Some women seem to have undergone some sort of like test tube, sort of like some people, some women that have contacted me had said that it wasn't a case of you know being created in a test tube, but something actually had sex with them. Sort of like, now I don't know. To me, you know what I mean? It's like if my girlfriend or my wife were telling stories like that, you know what I mean? I would be very worried. You know what I mean? If your girlfriend or wife came up to you and says, sort of like, I remember being taken, abducted, and this thing having sex with me, and then later on thinking she's pregnant, and then she goes through what looks like a pregnancy, but then loses it. She goes to the doctors, and the doctors say, yeah, there's something there, and then all of a sudden, sort of like that fetus, that baby, that fetus has disappeared, sort of like, and some women seem to suggest that this same thing has happened to them on a number of occasions. So that means what they've been taken, something's actually had sex with them, and then they've fallen pregnant multiple times. Now, sort of like, start thinking logic here now. You know what I mean? Sort of like, what is going on? Because if something's having sex with your wife or your girlfriend or partner or anybody, whether the partners or whatever, doesn't really matter. But if something's coming along and having sex with them against the will, that's rape. So, start thinking logically. There's things going on here, and it's more than just nice little alien greys being seen at bottom of your bed. You know what I mean? There's some horrific things going on here, and, I suppose one of the things I've tended to stay away from the abductions because, like you said, what can you do for somebody apart from say, well, look, I'm okay. I've been taken most of my life and I'm still here, sort of like, and just make the best of it. What else can you say? What else can you say?
Well, I guess what we try to do, and I guess like you do, is I guess try to provide, I guess a little bit of support group to them and give them some reassurance that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
While you were having your technical difficulties, we were talking about, women reporting, their eggs being harvested, and a year or so later, or less than a year, being reunited with alleged children that they were crossbreeded, and never seen them again. But we're also, I'm getting reports and encounters where men are sperms being taken from them, right? So, but we're not seeing a lot of those reports, or they just not coming forward because of the embarrassment. But it's like, what are they up to? What is their end goal? And I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. So that's what's a lot of people's wanting to know.
Well, I mean, this is a big question because You only need to take one person and eggs from one person, you know, from a sample to create millions of babies. But yet, the way it's coming across by polls that people have done suggests that there's millions of women that have actually said that they've been abducted and this has happened to them. Why would they do that to millions? Why would they do it to millions? You know what I mean? Because millions would create billions of babies. Do you know what I'm saying? If
Right.
needed to be, like test tubes, it's a form of test tube baby. So, and sometimes what these people are saying is that the actual growth of the babies are growing far faster than normal babies. Because what some women have said is a year later, there's something there with another alien showing the child, a
Right.
4-year-old, saying, This is your baby, you know. Or
Right.
babies. Sometimes it might be a group of, 3 or 4 alien children. And they're pointing saying, These are yours. Why? You know, I mean,
Right.
the thing is, if you're a male and you've got a partner, a wife, girlfriend, or whatever, and she's telling, like, I've got alien babies, you've had sex with an alien. Do you think that husband, sort of like, there's two things: either she's crazy or it's real. And if it's real, something from another world has had sex with your wife or girlfriend, would you want to go near her again? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like in rape cases, would the husband want to be anywhere near the wife? I don't think so. Because, this is now, this isn't sort of like, like, here's aliens and, they're nice. And we're talking, we're getting down to nitty gritty now here, Chris. We're getting down to people's lives and realities of things what happen. And the thing is, as nice as you want to look at things, there is a side to this, which is human nature. So maybe there's a lot of this going on. Maybe there's so much of this going on that it's unbalancing relationships here on Earth with people that say that they've been abducted and that their husbands and a family. Because it's a reality. At the end of the day, you're talking about, being abducted, being taken, and being raped. And that's taking the sort of like icing off of the cake, the bare bones of it. That is what we're looking at. And it's not a nice thing, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, that nice subject, you know what I mean, sort of like a nice cake with icing on and cream on and all your sort of like cherries on top. It's not as nice as what you're looking at, is it? You start looking at the reality of things, and we're
Right.
talking about there's been a crime committed. This is a crime,
Right. And while you was off the air, on and off the air, we was talking about, or I brought up Eisenhower back in 1947. He
Yeah.
allegedly had that emergency meeting for a dentist appointment in the middle of the night, met with the aliens allegedly, and signed that treaty. And people that were on their deathbeds that was a guard that hangar came forward and said it did happen. His
Yeah.
granddaughter came forward and said the meeting did happen, and that the treaty allegedly said that they were allegedly allowed to abduct people in certain areas of the country, in cattle mutilations. In return, we got technology allegedly from them, and whatever else, whatever transpired. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what is your take on all that?
Well, really, you know, if it comes down to it, so we've got the president of America that sanctioned abductions of people all around the world, because this isn't just in America, you know, this is a worldwide phenomenon, you
Right.
know, and, you know, who's give him, you know, sort of like the right to make any, you know, sort of like, you know, whether you look at it realistically, he's given the, you know, freedom to basically abduct people. You know, you know, you can say signed an agreement. He hasn't signed an agreement with the people that's been abducted, has he?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Looking at it realistically, he's signed an agreement with them saying you can take people, but what about the people that's been taken? Where's their part in it? You know, and sort of like, you know, don't they have a say? Obviously not. But the thing is, what have they been doing with these people?
Right.
You know, what when they say they're free to actually abduct, what have they done? Because I've heard some horror stories. I've heard some horror stories of what they've done to people over the years. And they're not just abducting people, you know, sort of like and putting them back. Some of these people are taken and they're never brought back. And I have actually heard that some of these people couldn't be brought back because they're dead. They end up dead. They end up food for an alien race. You know, so it's like that's murder.
Right.
You know, what else can you say? But that is murder. You know, you can't really say anything other, can you?
No, not at all. Not at
You know,
all. So, I
and I mean
mean,
the thing is, it's something that, you know, isn't really spoken about a lot. You know, we can hear, you know, all the stories of happy clappy aliens, you know, oh look, this is our family, you know, sort of like, and bringing, you know, like the alien babies and the children into the bedroom and showing you. But the reality is that it's not just like that. There's more behind this. You know, some people never get over being abducted. You know, some people never get over being abducted. You know, and I've met quite a few people that have been broken, and there's not a lot you can do. There's nothing you can say or do to help them. They tell you a story, and then that's it, and then you never see them again. But they tell you, you know, sort of like just to get it off the chest or off the mind. You know, sort of like in hope that somebody might believe them. And then when you say you do believe them, and when you try to sort of like help them, they seem to just, you know, well, this is what it is. That's, you know, what I've got to tell you. And sort of like, but they don't, you know, they can't take it any further, can they? They can't take anything any further because, you know, what can you do? You can try to be like a counselor, you know, sort of like and help them and try to reassure people, right? But other than that, what else can you do? You know, because the unthinkable's been done. The unthinkable's been done, really. And I mean, the other thing is it still carrying on today? Obviously, a few years ago, my abduction stopped, sort of like, and passed my sell-by date, obviously. But the thing is, it's still going on around the world with other people, right? So that means that people are still being abducted, whatever. So it means that there's, sort of like this, whatever you call it, this treaty is still going on, And the last time I spoke to somebody on BBC Radio Leeds, and we were talking about, abductions and aliens and UFOs, and I got around to the subject of people going missing in my country back then. This is over 10 years ago. And it was something like 180,000 people had become missing persons. So there are 180,000 missing people that year. It'd be over 10 years ago now. And they're never found. They only ever find out of those numbers something like 1,000 people. So out of 180,000, they only find 1,000 people, right? I was horrified. This year to see the new figures out of the people that had gone missing in the United Kingdom, right? And it says that roughly there is 200, that were it, 280,000, 280 or 290,000 people in the United Kingdom that go missing every year now.
Wow.
Right, yeah. Going on for 500,000 people every year. So that means at some point in time, as we go on, when you start looking at the numbers, 200 becomes 400, becomes 800, becomes 1 million, becomes 2 million. Within 10 years, these are the numbers are just gonna, when you look at them and you sit down, you're gonna, common sense should say, where are all these people? Where are all the people from my country that have been taken? Where are they that have gone missing? How can millions of people from a country go missing? Especially when that country is an island.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So where are the people? And, the thing is, the missing people, nobody knows. And I think it's horrifying to know that so many people go missing and nobody's that interested. Nobody seems to be in my country, sort of like they're not that my government aren't interested in a lot of things. Let's be honest about it. So a missing, sort of like 280,000 people in a year, sort of like don't really, sort of like mean a great deal to them, I don't think. But where are these people? So I don't know. It's well, when you actually sit back and you look at it, it's more than just people are being abducted. There's some horror stories. People seeing UFOs close. Sort of like having the actual photographic evidence. Someone's taken a picture. It's been confiscated. They've taken a video. It's been taken, and then the person that were the closest to the UFO ended up 2-3 days later dead. And I've got a number of cases where that's happened. But because I signed an agreement with the family, I would not mention the names. You know, I wouldn't go public with it.
Wow.
You know, for
Now
obviously.
Russell's asking you, are maybe the aliens taking them and they need something like the blood from them, from the humans?
Well, the thing is, you know, we've got this thing called you can go, can't you, and you can give blood
Right.
banks, right? Yeah. So if they wanted that, I'm sure that, you know, you could do the same thing, couldn't you? You could have blood banks for aliens. You could say, look, because of the pandemic, that people, you know, really need more blood now because the stock is being depleted, right? So you could go forward and you know, have this mass, you know, like give blood to Dracula, you know what I mean, sort of thing. But and that could help. So, you know, why just take an old body if they only need the blood? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or do they
Now,
need the organs? What they need?
well, I didn't think about that part because you mentioned earlier that caught my attention that you said you have people that reported bodies that the alien craft smelled horrible.
Yeah, as if one guy, he turned around and he put it down, and I'll never forget. He said it was a flying abattoir. A flying abattoir of
Wow.
bodies. Now, yeah, I've heard this on a number of occasions where they've said that inside the rooms were like sparse, nothing inside these rooms apart from a smell. And one chap, and let's just say he was in the same business as you years ago, yeah, and he'd been on murder scenes, yeah, and what he said was he put it down to the smell of a room full of death, bodies, you know.
Wow.
He said that he had his eyes closed, not wanting to see what were there, because he said, you know, he'd already worked on a team, and he said, you know, like you walked into a room, before you got in the room, he said, you know, your first day of going into a room where there'd been a murder and it's, you know, days old, you'd never forget the smell, yeah.
Right.
And he said when he went into that room, there was the smell, and he had his eyes closed because he didn't want to look. He knew what the smell was, you know.
Wow.
So what is going? I mean, all this is stuff you don't, you know, sort of like nobody hits upon. You know, a lot of this I forget to tell people. There's so much. You know, after 30 years of all me files there, you know, in that filing cabinet and stuff, you know, sort of like it's come along from more than just seeing UFOs, and you know, then we're talking about UFOs that have crashed and that have landed, and the pieces of metal that have been left behind, which I had. Well, one, it must be in me security box, but you know, stuff like that. You know, people actually seeing, you know, crash flying saucers and stuff. You know, sort of like I did write a book on one landing in North Wales in 1974. You know,
Wow.
and I had a piece of metal given to me, you know, from the crash. But we were supposed to be going this year, and apparently there's another area where number of flying saucers was actually shot down. And because I become ill and I haven't been able to walk, you know, sort of like we've had to put it on hold until I until I have 2 operations, you know, sort of like so I might be able to walk then. So we'll just have to see. But
That's
you know,
wild.
these are the things that, you know, that nobody usually talk about.
No, they don't.
Because, you know, it's like normally people just want to hear the sugar coated sweets, don't they? You know what I mean? Sort of like all the you know the sort of like the alien abductions, and there's always, you know, somebody says, oh well, they felt exalted or they felt like a special, you know, sort of like and all this lot, you know, sort of like, well, that's all very nice and good, but the thing is, there's the other side of it. And sometimes you don't know what to do for the best, you know. You tell the truth to people, and then, you know, it's, oh, you're not one of us. You know, you'll get abducted by aliens and you're put in a military unit and you're a warmonger. You know, you're promoting war. No, I'm not. What I'm telling you is, and you should take heed of this, you know, this is happening. And sort of like it needs to stop. We need somebody that needs to go to the government and ask people in power what is going on. Why are people being taken? Why are they being abducted in the first place? You know, sort of like, where have all these people, you know, that have been abducted gone to? The ones that never come back? You know, why are they putting us into a war, making us fight for this alien race against other alien races? And the worst thing about it is, it's
Oh, you're doing so good, ladies and gentlemen. Russell, I was just thinking about that. Let's see if he comes back. He was on a roll. So, do aliens need our skin? There is something that does not make sense. Why they are abducted? They need something from us. Can they not reproduce themselves? What is it do they need? Because something is not adding up. And that's the question. What is it? Because if you're that far in advance in technology, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that you need to seek out from us to survive? Now, I love Ancient Alien, or is it, what's that TV show? Ancient Alien, or whatever that. So one thing I was talking about while you were gone, and maybe you can shed some light on this, sir, is what do they need from us to survive? Is it our skin?
well, to survive. The alien race that take me need us, right? Yeah, to fight for them, right? Yeah, because there's a war going on, and I'll tell you in a nutshell. It's in my book, but I'll tell you now what it says in the book. That some of the super soldiers, some of the team, who they need the most are the females from Earth, right? Yeah, and they need them because they've got a special ability, and they're called telepaths. I'm a telepath. I'm in a unit, a telepathic unit, a scout unit. But those women are put into special units as guards. And what they do is they guard all the buildings, the perimeters inside on the planet where the aliens live, their cities, and the reason why that they're taken, like I said, because they're telepathic, one thing, and they can see 15, 20 minutes before an attack starts because of the technology what their enemies have, which is like it's a teleport system, and they can teleport right onto their planet. They can right into the homes anywhere with these teleport systems. But because of the women from Earth, because they're telepathic, they have got this ability to see and pick up where they're going to teleport to. So if they're going to teleport their soldiers to an area, they can see it before. So these women, right, yeah, the guards, the special guards, they're really sought after. And they're sought after because it's keeping that alien race alive. Because they can sense them teleporting, their armies.
What's the name of your book, Russ?
Pardon?
What's the name of your book?
The name of my book is called, I'll show you, it's here. E.T. Rider.
E.T.
Rider.
Is it R-I or R-Y?
R-I-D-E-R. E.T. Rider.
E.T. I'm typing it in the comments. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get a copy of that book.
It's about my story about my abductions, what's happened to me over the years. And, sort of like just letting people know that, sort of like what's happened. Because, you just could not believe it. Just could not believe it. 16-year-old riding home and you end up in this tunnel and then in this room with these aliens, just unbelievable. And it just carried on. It just, sort of like, then I got a scooter. It happened when I had my scooters. Then I got a bigger motorbike and choppers, and then, sort of like, it never stopped. I'd go one way and no matter what happened, sometimes I'd say, I ain't going that way home tonight because I go past this area where, I seem to be abducted. And so I'll go another way and it's there. It's waiting for me. So I go through that tunnel in another area. It just seems to find me. It's happened when a friend was on the back of my motorbike as well.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of like my girlfriend, a friend of mine, I disappeared in front of her when we were taking a shortcut through a cemetery. And she saw one of the aliens behind me and I went missing for about 30 minutes. And then she told me that I walked through her bedroom wall with my unit. It even says it in the book, sort of like she had a friend around at her house. And this night I walked through with the bedroom wall. Sort of like, which is strange because, sort of like I've had the same thing happen to me. I've had my bedroom wall turn black and these shadow people walk through.
Wow.
An alien race just walk through my bedroom wall.
Wow. That's wild. That's wild.
But, I mean, I've had all sorts happen. I had 100% memory recall. 100% memory recall, right? Until one Sunday morning, my dad had come in from shop. He'd been to get some newspapers, and he put them down on the table. And I said, "Do you want a drink of tea, Dad?" He said, "Yeah, I'll have a drink of tea." So he went in his room with one of the papers. He were writing out horses, like betting, like he used to gamble on horses. And I'd picked his paper up, and I was just looking at the paper. And for some reason, I was reading it, and I just couldn't read. And my head were hurting. It were like banging, like I had migraine. And he came in, and he says, "Did you make that tea for us?" And I says, "No." And he said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "No." And I was talking to him, and he was coming out in gobbledygook. Wasn't making any sense to him. And he says, "Are you all right?" And I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." So he shouted at my mum, and he says, "Rita," he says, "there's something wrong with our Russ." He says, "I'm going to take him to hospital." So he put me in car and took me to hospital. And he left me there. And they said, "Come back and we'll do tests on him." I had to have brain scans and body scans and what have you. So my dad and my mum came for us a few hours later. And I'd been sent to a different hospital up the road. And it was an isolation unit. So they said, like, if it's one of any of these 5 things, there's a good chance he's not coming home. So I was in this room, and it had a window. That's all there was, a door and a window, where your visitors could just sit and see you through this window, special window. And anyway, I was in there 3 days, and they did all the tests, and I was blind. I'd gone blind at one point. I couldn't smell. I couldn't taste any food. I didn't eat for 3 days. I couldn't taste anything. I couldn't hear very well. And then I came round. So they let me out, And what had happened, I forgot to say, when my dad was talking to me, it felt like something was taking all my memories from my mind. As if all my memories from my mind were being taken out. I could feel it being taken. I could feel them being taken out. The most bizarre thing, the most frightening thing, one of the most frightening things that I've ever had happen to me. I remember thinking, they're going to take my soul.
Wow.
I just thought they're gonna take something from me. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna take my soul. You know what I mean? I was shaking. So I came home, and they said it was some kind of. They said it was a migraine, which is a certain type of migraine, which is like a stroke. It affects you like a stroke, Now, the thing is, I've only ever come across one person who's an abductee, and the same thing happened to her. When she told me on my show about being in an isolation unit, and I told her the same thing, I knew I'd found somebody. I knew I'd found somebody who was an abductee, because it had happened to her. You know what I mean? And that is unbelievable. So when she talks, I listen to her because I know for certain, sort of like when something happens to one person, but when it happens to 2 people and the same thing happens, and she's telling, and I'm saying, well, I couldn't see the records of where they said I'd actually been sent to a different hospital.
Wow.
Looking through all my files and what have you. Unbelievable.
It is. Now, Russ, how do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
On Facebook, Russ Kelly. they can get to me on Facebook, or they can get to me. I've got an email, which is russellkelly1@gmail.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, you enjoyed the show. This is only part 1. And we're going to have this every Monday at the same time. We are teamed up together. We're going to talk about UFO, and we're going to talk about cryptid phenomenon, because he's very excited about Bigfoot and cryptids, aren't you, Russ?
Oh, hell yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna mix the two. So I'm intrigued with him. He's intrigued with my phenomenon. So we're gonna mix the world together and bring both of the worlds to you all. So I'm very excited. But hopefully y'all enjoyed the show, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, very interesting. But make sure and check out the book, E.T. Rider. I'm definitely going to check that out. Where can they reach that book or buy that book, Russ?
It's on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle or book form.
Okay, awesome. Great. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, in 26 minutes, Grizzly has got another show coming up with psychics and mediums. Yes. So stand by for that show. I'll see you all here in a few minutes. And Russ, we'll get together again next week for another edition. So I'm really excited about it, sir.
Same here, Chris. Thank you very much for a fantastic show. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And I'll talk to you shortly, buddy. Take care. And from coast to coast and around the world, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Godspeed. See y'all soon. Bye-bye.